kind of event together.
The meteoric rise of a young tycoon, dynamic, optimistic, with a dream to reshape India's property landscape. Welcome to Managing Asia. I'm Christine Tan. My guest today is one of the largest real estate players in India, with big ambitions to build the world's tallest residential tower. He's Abhishek Lodha, Managing Director of the Lodha Group. 37 years old and reaching for the sky, the former McKinsey consultant is transforming his father's real estate business. Since he joined in 2003, Lodha Group has shot to new prominence. He's building the tallest residential tower in the world right in the center of Mumbai. He's taking Palava, India's first greenfield smart city, off the ground. And he made headlines in the biggest land deal in India to date. I spoke to Lodha at McKinsey's 4th Global Infrastructure Initiative Summit in Singapore. At such a young age, where did you get the confidence to make such an audacious move?
I think it was a coincidence of being in the right place at the right time, and having been exposed to the West, having understood things which people had in other parts of the world. The desire was to bring the same standard to India, and that really drove us. There really wasn't an ambition to build the largest real estate developer in the country or to build the tallest residential tower in the world. The ambition was to just do good stuff in India, in Mumbai, and that's what really drove us. And quite frankly, when you're young, you don't really think too much and don't really worry about, what if you fail. There is the inherent
You're bold
confidence.
and fearless.
Yes.
So how much guidance did your father give you in your early years?
He's been a very important influence in my life and in the life of our family. He's a self-made man. He was trained as a lawyer, and when his father became a judge in the court, he decided to leave the court. He didn't want to practice in the same court and started this real estate business from scratch. And having seen him sort of set up the business, grow it, struggle through it, and succeed was a tremendous influence. Also, his knowledge of the industry, his understanding of what really makes it success or makes one successful or not, has been taught to us on the dining table every night from
Really?
when one was very young, and that education has been very, very important and priceless.
The ambitious Lodha has also set his sights abroad. Under your leadership, Lodha Group made its first foray overseas into London in 2013. What made you venture into the British housing market? What did you see?
We are a business which likes scale. And in Mumbai, we've been the largest developers for some time. In 2012, we became the largest developer in the country, and we've been for the last 5 years in India. And at that point in time, to drive our growth aspirations, the choice was to expand geographically. The choice was to look at something within India or outside. And we felt that the scale of Mumbai cannot be replicated anywhere else in India, and therefore one had to look outside. We closely studied various markets: New York, Singapore, Dubai, and London. And finally homed in on London because we felt that was a market which has sizable scale, had an absence of very large-scale developers, and where one could do high-quality development. The price points were there to support the high quality of development, and that's really sort of what interested us in the London market.
Well, just as you were increasing your exposure to London, Brexit happened. Lots of concerns now about housing prices and demand. You have 2 projects there. Are you feeling any impact?
So the immediate aftermath of Brexit was concerning, but I think since then things have actually been quite good. One of our developments, which we launched last May, just before Brexit, has now done about $175 million of sales, probably one of the most successful projects in London over the last 12 months. We actually just closed the development financing for that yesterday, where we were able to raise 290 million GBP, about £375 million from a single provider at very attractive rates. And our other development has also started sales at over £6,000 a square feet, which are record prices. So I think the depreciation of the pound, the sterling, has helped, but the overall attractiveness of London as a city, as well as the resilience of the UK economy, have really surprised a lot of observers.
So you're confident the UK property market will prevail?
Yes, we think that the UK property market has strong legs, good location and good product will do well.
Well, before Brexit happened, you had these grand ambitions of being among the top 2 developers in London, and you said you were planning to spend something like $3 billion to acquire new assets. Is that plan still on track? Is it still on the table?
Yeah, we definitely think we want to be a sizable developer in London. Whether it's in the top 2 or the top 3, that's a question of numbers and time, but we do want to be a sizable business in London. We of course have adjusted to the aftermath of Brexit. Our current focus is on the 2 projects that we are executing, and as these 2 projects complete and the cash flows release, we will very likely reinvest into the London market and grow our business.
So are you scouting for new real estate assets in London right now?
Not immediately, but probably a little later in the tenure of these 2 projects. The first project completes at the end of 2018, and sometime around that time we'll start expanding our business there.
But the focus remains in India, the world's 2nd most populous nation. Its fast-growing economy and young workforce are expected to drive real estate growth over the next decade. But the overcrowded sector is facing tough hurdles. Home sales have been slowing, further taking a hit recently with the government's demonetization rule. The new tough real estate regulations to weed out unscrupulous developers and the mega reform with GST are also adding to uncertainties. But Lodha remains upbeat.
We think there's a lot of growth potential. India is very exciting. Between Mumbai and Pune, where sort of we are zoned, and London, we grew our business by 20% on 22% on the top line last year, and we think we can deliver over 20% growth this year just out of these geographies. We're expanding in terms of asset classes. We're doing a lot more office. We've started getting into logistics. We finished our first retail mall last year, and we're doing a lot more high-end retail now. So we're very focused geographically, so not looking at any new cities in the near future, but growing our business.
Let's talk about this business model of yours, because essentially, initially you started out in a high-end luxury segment, then you went to affordable housing, now you're going to commercial properties. How has this business model evolved during the time that you've been at Lodha Group?
We believe in being nimble. We look at market discontinuities, we look at opportunities, and we try to make sure that we can serve those well. Today we, like I said, largest developer in the country, but we play from everything selling from $100 a square feet US to $2,500 a square feet US, and everything else in the middle. And that's driven by our ability to create high quality product at all price points. The same strategy really applies to our office portfolio. We've actually over the last 5 years completed about 4.5 million square feet of office, and we just want to expand that part of our business going forward. So we do think that India is going to go through quite a significant period of economic growth over the next 5 and 10 years under the leadership of our dynamic Prime Minister and the reforms that he set in place over the last 3 years. So the vision for India is fairly clear, and while there will be some blips and ups and downs, the general direction is up. And as urban GDP goes up, the demand for high quality housing, if you look at the difference between India and China, it's so enormous right now that even if we were to come halfway to where China is, there is going to be a lot of things that we as a company and we as a country need to do.
You essentially started out in residential. Now you're venturing into commercial property. To what extent will commercial property contribute to your overall portfolio? How significant will the contribution be?
We expect commercial property to be about 25% of our portfolio in 5 years' time, so it is still going to be only a minority part of our business, but something which is bigger than what it is today.
Right now you have about 30 ongoing projects, residential projects, mostly in India, in cities like Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad. You felt the effects of the government's demonetization measures last year. To what extent has demand bounced back post-demonetization? How are sales now?
So demonetization clearly had an impact. It happened on the 8th of November, and it affected the sales which were coming in from October, November, December and January. In spite of demonetization, we were able to grow our business, like I said, by over 22% last year. February, March and April, if you take that as a quarter, we've done about $400 million of sales, and if that puts us on track to actually hit a golden figure of 10,000 crores in Indian rupees or 1.7 billion US over the next 12 months. So the market's really bounced back quite strongly. We had a blip, but I think, like I said, the Prime Minister is making bold reforms. Some of them will have some short-term impact, but the long-term idea is that India is trending and moving in the right direction.
Do you remember the day demonetization happened?
Absolutely.
What went through your mind? Were you shocked?
We were at actually a business strategy meeting, 7, 8 of our top executives thinking about how we are going to grow sales over the next 3 months. And as the meeting was happening, this news came in. And yes, it was a surprise. I won't say a shock, but it was a surprise. And one was, thinking and asking whether it's a rumor. For the first instance, thing was whether it's a rumor or it's reality. When the one then saw the news and said that this is what he's decided to do, and the immediate idea after that was to figure out the consequences and adjust to that.
The real estate sector in India is interesting because people buy properties with cash on money that is supposed to go to taxes. When this happened, was there a big plunge in sales?
All economic activity in India was affected for those 3 months. So everything from a toothpaste to a home was affected.
So Lodha was affected?
Everybody was affected. Lodha was affected too. So I think those 3 months our sales were down about 25%. Having said that, the fact is that every market in India, all major cities operate very differently. Mumbai and our home buyers, about 70% take mortgages. So in that context, having unpaid money or non-tax paid money is not really in the equation in India. There are different parts of the country up north where this may be a bigger problem, and therefore the sales over there have been more adversely affected. But markets like Mumbai, Pune and Bangalore are pretty much transparent, and with the new regulatory act which has come in, RERA as it's called in India, they will become even more transparent, and then India's bringing in GST in July. So overall the level of transparency in the Indian real estate market is going up, and as larger players become more and more dominant in the marketplace, you will see a much easier market to invest in and transact.
So far the recovery has been led by affordable housing. To what extent has this crackdown on corruption and tax evasion hurt high-end luxury sales?
We haven't really seen any impact in Mumbai, and I can't really speak for the entire country. I think Mumbai continues to be driven by real fundamentals in terms of supply and demand. Where you have good quality product, the demand continues to be there because the economy is showing legs, the stock market is doing well, and all of that flows into the local economy.
And speaking of Mumbai, speaking of product, you have a product you're going to resume sales on, the Mumbai Trump Tower, in June or July. Since the US president took office, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding some of his comments. Enthusiasm for the Trump brand, well, it may have faded in some countries. You're still confident the Mumbai Tower will be a success?
Yeah, we've had a great relationship with the Trump organization. We think they're a great brand. They bring a lot of value in terms of how they think about the product, and more importantly, the after-sales service and standard of the building. We're very confident that the core product is an excellent product, and it will do quite well when we resume sales next month.
I understand you're also getting into this whole Palava city, a smart city. What are your plans? Tell us. It sounds exciting.
So Palava is really exciting. I think it's really a model of urbanization which a developing country like India should really learn from. It's probably the largest privately funded development project in the world, spread over more than 4,500 acres. It will eventually be home to more than 2 million residents and over 500,000 jobs. We currently already have more than 75,000 people living over there, and this started only in 2009 and 10. And it's accelerating in terms of size and growth. We've now sold over 26,000 apartments, handed over 18,000 apartments. We have lots of social and cultural infrastructure now ready. We have multiple schools operating, malls, golf course, cricket ground, so on and so forth. And now the workspaces are beginning to come in. So really it's really a small city or a town which is coming up, not very far from where the new international airport is coming up in Mumbai. And really we think this quality of life for India's middle class is really, really aspirational. And the ability to build this off private capital is truly unique, and something which will do well as India urbanizes so much over the next 20 years.
It sounds like a complex project because it is actually a city, not a tower, not a residential building. You're involved in a whole township project. What are some of the things you have to be involved in?
It really is fascinating, and like you correctly mentioned, it's not a regular real estate development project. So in addition to thinking about master planning and thinking about issues of governance, which are very, very important because you're doing it at the scale of a city, you have to think about other things like transportation, sewage management, other forms of infrastructure, electricity and water supply. So you really are operating like a town planner, and you develop a lot of competence and and skill in areas which you never thought you would do as a regular real estate developer. I think it's been very, very exciting. We've learned a lot. We've been able to get great talent. People are really excited that they can really create a whole new city in India. We now have Harvard's GSD, the Graduate School of Design, doing projects over there. We have one of the world's most famous architects, Renzo Piano, designing a center of the arts. We're soon going to start work on what is going to be a higher education university. There are very many exciting things happening over there and great learning, and it truly is the learning which excites us.
Right now, Lodha Group is one of the largest developers in India. There were times in the past where you wanted to take it public, but you didn't. Any plans to do so in future?
Yeah, so Lodha's been the largest developer in India by sales for more than 5 years now. This is probably going to be the 6th year now. And we were intending to go public in 2010-11. That didn't work out, and we stalled our proposed IPO then. We do think that next year we will go public. We're in the process of preparing for that, and we'll probably approach the regulator in the course of this calendar year and then go public subject to market conditions next year.
Where would you like to list?
We think it's going to be on the Indian exchanges in Mumbai. We are largely an Indian company, and we think that the right place for us to list is on the Indian exchanges.
What size are you looking at in terms of public?
I've always learned not to speculate on the markets, so we will wait, let the markets decide what our true value is.
Don't go away. More with Abhishek Lodha, Managing Director of the Lodha Group, in just a moment.
Last year we handed over 7,200 homes to customers, by far the largest figures in India, and approaching China scales now.
Many real estate companies fall into the trap of getting themselves too over-leveraged. How are you watching your debt levels? What's your debt reduction strategy? Managing Asia, we'll be right back.
When you look at Dollar Shave Club, what we're offering to our members are the best version of themselves.
The company is an extension of who he is and his worldview and the things he believes in.
And he definitely took a leap for us to get where we are today.
When I first met him, he was the exact same guy, just with a lot less money.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades?
The site crashed within 30 minutes.
I broke the internet, right? I mean, like, everyone was talking about this video.
Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
He understands the core of people and who they are and what drives them, what excites them.
For me, it's about learning. I think that if you make that commitment, you'll be successful.
Today, you're the largest developer in India. How much of the company's success is because of your family's political connection? The fact that your father is a legislator in the ruling BJP party?
So my father's been a legislator since 1995. When I joined the company in 2003, we were about 40 people. From 2003 to 2014, the Congress was in power both in the state, Congress, which is the party which my father is not aligned with. He was in the BJP, which is opposed to the Congress. The Congress was in power both in the center as well as the state, and all of our growth, a very significant proportion of our growth, happened between 2003 and 2015. So I think the facts answer the question.
Government approvals, has it come easy for you?
I think government approvals in India are challenging. They have become easier over the last 2 to 3 years for everybody because of the focus that the Prime Minister and our Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis, have put on transparency and ease of doing business. But overall, approvals are in India continue to be one which one has to work hard on. There are multiple authorities. Because of the multiplicity of authorities and the different modes of thinking, that is something that one has to really work hard on.
You're a busy man these days because apart from taking care of 30 ongoing projects, you also plan to launch something like 8 to 9 new projects this year. How exactly do you manage this whole cycle of juggling your cash flow to make sure that construction takes place on time and delivery happens on time?
As a company, we are very, very focused on making sure that each project is executed on its own strength. Last year we handed over 7,200 homes to customers, and we spent about 600 million plus US directly on construction, both by far the largest figures in India and approaching China scales now in terms of how much construction we do. That's the equivalent of constructing 18 million square feet in a single year. The way real estate in India works, and it probably works in just a few other countries that way, is that people pay as once they buy, they pay as the construction happens. So in effect, if you construct well and people think that you have the credibility, then the sales, if they're there, the project becomes self-financing in a year and a half or two. So actually, in that sense, the financing of real estate projects in India is not difficult if you have the credibility of delivery behind you.
Do you give yourself a buffer in case things goes wrong?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have an equity base of over 5,500 crores, about just under $1 billion US, which is our net worth earned equity. So that is what we constantly have available in case a particular project is going to go through any period of slower sales or difference from what we had projected.
Many real estate companies fall into the trap of getting themselves too over leveraged. How are you watching your debt levels? What's your debt reduction strategy?
Our business has it throws off a lot of cash. Last year we took in 1.2 billion US from customers. This is payment directly coming in from customers. So we have a lot of cash flow generation. We are operationally cash flow positive. Our focus this year and last year has been on reducing our cost of debt rather than reducing the quantum of debt, and we expect that to be our focus over the next 12 months, and then move towards a debt reduction strategy starting from the following fiscal.
You're the largest developer in India right now. Are you also the most profitable? Are you almost there?
Based on reported figures, clearly we are the most profitable real estate developer in the country.
How do you plan to grow your profits?
We expect to grow our top line 20% year on year over the next 3 years, and we expect that profits will climb at a rate faster than that.
Don't go away. Coming up next.
I've been very fortunate to be in a family which has done very well in many different fields.
As the eldest son, are there certain expectations from you? Managing Asia, we'll be right back.
We start things, each and every day. Partnerships that change the face of a marketplace, movements that take us all forward. We see things, in ourselves, in others, in the world. We build things, like trust, foundations, and futures. We make capital markets more efficient and grow economies around the globe. This is who we are, and this is what we do. NASDAQ. Ignite your ambition.
Early on, 2 California Kings made a big jump in the FedEx Cup standings. Heading east, the Aussies heated up in the Florida sun. Jordan Spieth went on to claim his second win of the year in his home state, before a run of breakthrough victors burst onto the scene. Now it's a fresh start as the race for the 2016-17 FedEx Cup kicks off.
Coming up on Mobil 1 The Grid, we talk to Corvette's third driver and secret weapon Marcel Fessler. Ask Danica Patrick about her hectic schedule in NASCAR. And go rock crawling at night in the Mojave Desert. All this and more on Mobil 1 The Grid.
Your father founded a Lodha Group 2 years ago. He divided his empire, putting you in charge of the real estate business, while your younger brother now oversees the financial services venture. Is this all part of his grand succession plan?
I think my father and our family have made sure that the businesses have continuity going forward, and some of the issues which have affected other Indian business families in terms of succession do not affect our business. So I think they've thought through how the businesses should grow and focus separately while we remain united as a family, and that's I think a part of his overall plan about how the family stays together and the businesses continue to prosper in a professional manner.
Did he discuss his succession plan with you?
Yes, I think clearly, this was a matter which was discussed within the family and then executed.
Your father still remains a powerful figure within the company. What's the most valuable advice he's given you and your brother about running a business?
His focus today is largely on public life. He no longer has any executive role within the day-to-day operations of the company, but he is of course our founder and continues to be a very valuable mentor. The advice that we think is that he gives most valuable is that there is no detail which is too small to focus on, And he's a perfectionist who wants to make sure that whatever we promise on, we deliver. And that's really what drives all of us to make sure that he does not feel let down in anything that we do.
How do you carry out decision making within the company? Do you still consult him from time to time?
No, on an executive basis, he isn't involved. He doesn't really have the time anymore to spend time on the business. But yes, on broader strategic choices, we definitely discuss with him. As a family, he comes to the office for a few hours every day. As a family, we live in the same house, and so we get a lot of time to discuss when we're sort of not really when we're at home. Yeah.
You're 37 years old, the eldest son running the family's real estate business. You're in charge of something like 3,000 staff within the company, most of them older than you. How exactly do you practice your leadership and management style? What are you like as the boss?
Well, I guess that's a question better put to people who we work closely with. But what I think we do well is that we are very well organized and structured company. We think that we have the best top management team, not just in real estate, but almost across all businesses in India. And we think that exemplifies the fact that we are a well-run business, which gives the freedom and the authority to talent to come in and drive their decisions and to create value for the company.
What drives you? What motivates you? What gets you going?
So as a family, I've been very fortunate to be in a family which has done very well in many different fields. My grandfather rose to from humble beginnings to become the Chief Justice of the High Court and then went on to become a Member of Parliament. My father, like I mentioned, from being a lawyer, went on to not only running one of India's most successful businesses, but also becoming a member of the Legislative Assembly and has been elected for 5 consecutive terms, the last time with the highest majority in the state. And so really, when you have those kinds of figures in the family, what you want to make sure you do is really strive to achieve that level of impact and making sure that you can give back to society. And really that's what drives me. The ability in my own small way to make a difference to Indian society is really exciting.
As the eldest son, are there certain expectations from you?
I think expectations are definitely they're inevitable, and expectations are driven off performance. I think the more you perform, the more people think about your potential, the higher the expectations are. And I think it's an interesting dynamic. I think the pressure is it energizes you. At the same time, one should not let it overwhelm you.
And finally, as a second generation heading Lodha Group, what impact do you want to make?
I personally am driven by the fact that urbanization in India affects families in such a deep manner. When people move into our developments or move into our office spaces, it changes their lives. They suddenly start thinking differently, their aspirations go up, they're able to become much more productive. And having that impact on thousands of lives each year is really fulfilling.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for talking to me. And that was Abhishek Lodha, Managing Director of India's Lodha Group. Hope you've enjoyed the program. Do check us online at managingasia.cnbc.com for more exclusive leadership insights. Until next time, I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.